Hello everyone, I'm Niveyla Mamaghe, student of English Education Department, Faculty of Language and Arts, Universitas Negeri Manado.
Language is a system of communication used by humans in this life. Language is an important part of human life. People need to communicate in doing daily activity and making an interaction to other people in their life. Learning the language can help students to know information, how to communicate, to express their ideas and feelings, also develop culture and art. English is an international language used by almost every people in the world to communicate and share with another. Communicating to know and understand about information, develop culture and technology. As we know, English is one of foreign languages. Learning English can help students to improve their knowledge about everything in English. Vocabulary is very important in a language. When we learn a language like English, we learn the words of language. It is almost impossible to learn a language without words. Even communication between human beings is based on words. So, that vocabulary is one of the important aspects in English. It means that the learners have to master vocabulary well in order to make, understand, and produce these kinds of text easily. English is the language that has the most vocabulary. However, that does not mean it is impossible to master English. You simply master the vocabulary that includes everyday conversation, such as conversation at school, home, or office. Over time, you will continue to learn new vocabulary and expand your mastery vocabulary.
Talking about vocabulary, Camille and Hubert define that vocabulary as knowledge of words and words meaning in both oral and written language and in productive and receptive forms. More especially, they use it to the kind of word that students must know to read increasingly demanding text with comprehension.
Vocabulary can be divided into two kinds. They are productive vocabulary and receptive vocabulary. Productive vocabulary is the words which the students understand, can pronounce correctly, and use constructively in speaking and writing. It involves what is needed for receptive vocabulary plus the ability to speak and write the appropriate time. Therefore, productive vocabulary can be addressed as an active process because the learners can produce the words to express their thought to others. Receptive vocabulary is words that the learners recognize and understand when they occur in a context, but which cannot produce correctly. It is vocabulary that the learners recognize when they see it in reading context, but do not use in speaking and writing. The receptive vocabulary is also called a passive process because They learn only receive start from others. In language application, the receptive vocabulary is considered as the basic vocabulary. It is much larger than predictive vocabulary because there are many words recognized when the learners hear or read, but they do not use when they speak and write. Besides predictive vocabulary and receptive vocabulary, Ebersold and Mary Lee Field also classified vocabulary into active vocabulary and passive vocabulary. Active vocabulary is all of the words that are produced by students during any lesson or even in later lessons. This term is used in speaking or writing appropriately. It is called as predictive vocabulary. In fact, it is more difficult to put into practice. It means that to use the predictive vocabulary, the students must know and be able to use grammar of the target language. They also must be familiar with collocation and understand the connotation meaning of the words. This type is often used in speaking and writing skills. Passive vocabulary is all of the words that are heard or read by the students. It refers to as language items that can be recognized and understood in the context of reading or listening, and also called as receptive vocabulary. Having many vocabulary, learners can easily get information and can enrich their knowledge about everything in English.